Thank you so much. I'm afraid His Excellency has been called back to London very briefly, so you have myself, but he also thought it's more appropriate if I come and speak to this esteemed group. But fear not, we have already lobbied the Ambassador for future years' funding, but we're not committing just yet. But great pitcher beer. First to say, I'm really honoured to be standing here speaking to you all. Sort of women's rights, gender equality, diversity issues are issues that are in vast amount of debate right now on the global stage, but also here in Lebanon. And as the UK Embassy, we are proud to talk about these issues publicly and to represent them and to champion them where we can. And we hope that won't change. So thank you very much for gathering such a dynamic and interesting group of people already, and we look forward to continuing the conversation. I've got lots of thanks and just a really quick speech that I will sort of cover some topics on. But I want to give a great thank you to, obviously, all the team here from LLWB. It's wonderful to see so many of their staff, their community, really embodying everything that is being talked about here. And I think that's a wonderful thing to see. And also say a huge thank you to our project team in the British Embassy. Rosie, Darryl, Georges, Remy and others have done a huge amount of work this year, despite everything going on in the background. So I think we should all be proud that we have made it to this room for these discussions, so thank you. So Your Excellencies, esteemed team, distinguished guests, we are really delighted for the UK to celebrate the achievements here in what is International Women's Days Week. There are many challenges affecting women in Lebanon, but across the globe. But here I think in particular, despite a year of conflict and challenge, Lebanese women in particular have shown immense resilience and creativity, and they have really been leaders pushing for political and economic reform. And we are here to help support and amplify those messages wherever we can. During the recent conflict, Lebanese women bore the brunt of displacement. Nearly a quarter of the population, as we know, moved. And it was women who were at the front of grassroots initiatives to distribute food, medical supplies, clothing amongst affected families from whichever groups, and also to empower people through education and learning. And we all know too well, though, that Lebanese women face many public barriers, including to taking over senior roles. So it is clear that many companies and institutions lack gender-sensitive policies, whether they're in the private sector or the public sector. Maternity leave is only 10 weeks. This imposes huge challenges on working mothers. We know that there isn't a gender quota or legal requirements for gender diversity on boards. And yet, while we recognise the enormous challenges, there's also a sense of hope and impetus at this time, a time of change and hopefully renewal for Lebanon, with a new sort of political group, leadership, and some esteemed political leaders here today. Through this project, the team have focused on what matters. They have helped develop through gender audits and action plans, work with universities, syndicates and organisations to empower women of the future. This is you, of this room, your families, your friends, and the networks that you all belong to. Capacity building and mentoring are tools and skills that help break down barriers and enable women to go into decision-making roles. The certification programmes provide assurance of that capability and also demonstrate to others that we know and we recognise these skills and they're important for future empowerment, careers, and additional roles in society. The evidence-based research by LLWB has really gone into a lot of interesting detail on sort of legal reforms, developing advocacy plans, and we'd encourage you all to engage with that and to amplify that as you go through your sort of day-to-day business. For us, it's really important to try to drive home needed change where we can. And I think this is an opportunity we'll agree with, that Lebanon maybe could look to this for the future. Because it's also about women, but it's also about developing society in a positive way. And I think we in this room would all agree that involves everybody contributing towards a better future for Lebanon. So why are women needed on boards? In all honesty, it's because of the bottom line and because it makes the outcome better. When I was a student, I had the opportunity to go and become a board member of a sort of youth organisation, and then that enabled me to actually be on the boards of a couple of other charities. They weren't paid, it was voluntary, but the amount of experience that personally I got from that was fascinating. But also, quite frankly, it was the networks. People who I'd never have access to, who didn't know who I was, who gave me a lot of work to do for free. I'm not suggesting that is a way to go forward for any of the women in this room. I think if I was to look back, I would learn and ask maybe for some expenses. But it is about enabling those platforms for women to be demonstrably visible. And I think that issue has come out time and time again here. So we're very pleased to be able to work with LLWB over the last year in the studies and activities. Looking forward to the panel discussion. And the UK remains committed to advocating for gender equality and supporting the advancement of women in the decision-making elements of many different fields, be that government, business, civil society. And it's important that women's voices are represented to help shape the future of this country. I wish you and everyone here success and to have great ambitions for the future. Thank you.